And can you just spell it for us?
Tiffany Shaw.
Okay. And ma'am, what kind of work do you do?
I'm a customer service representative.
Okay. I want to ask you about a couple people, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with well, first of all, who's your mother?
Cynthia Tate.
Okay. And are you familiar with the person named Tessa Daniel, who used to be known as Tessa Clendenning?
I am.
And how did you know Tessa?
I had met her, our moms worked together, so I met her there. She was actually also working there at the time when I met her.
Okay. Did you know a person by the name of Laila Daniel?
I did.
And how did you know Layla?
We cared for her for quite some time.
You asked if you could speak up, sure.
We cared for her for quite a while.
Okay. Can you tell us just a little bit about how she came to live with you?
Her grandmother, Gina Banks, had asked my mom, Cindy, if I might be able to watch her for a couple of days to give her a break because Tessa wasn't there at the time. And my mom agreed, and we ended up having her for about 2 weeks before they came to pick her up. And then she was only gone for about 24 hours. And then Gina called and asked my mom if we would be willing to come pick her back up because Tessa had left and she didn't know when she was coming back.
Okay. So did Layla come to live with you?
At that point, yeah, we got her a crib and she came to live with us.
Okay. And again, your voice kind of trails off a little, so if you could...
We got her, that was when we went ahead and got a crib for her and started making a room for her.
Okay. Who else lived in the home?
It was me and my mother.
Any children in the home?
My son, Lucas.
Okay. And how old was Lucas?
He was a year old at the time. When we first got Layla, he was actually getting ready to turn a year old 3 days later.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 102. For identification purposes, it's previously been shown to defense. Do you recognize State's 102? Just say yes out loud.
Yes.
Okay. What do you recognize it to be?
That's my couch. My son sitting on the couch with Layla.
And is this a photograph that you took?
It is.
And have there been any modifications, alterations, or deletions to this photograph?
No.
Your Honor, I move to admit State's 102.
No objection. It's admitted. You may pause.
Thank you, Judge. So who is this we are looking at in the photograph?
That's Lucas and Layla watching probably Curious George.
Okay. So you mentioned that you cared. Tell me a little bit about the care arrangements while you watched Layla.
I wasn't working at the time because my son was still very little. So I cared for Layla along with him while my mom was at work, and also, throughout the night if they woke up or anything like that. And
Tell me how was Layla as a 1-year-old child? How would you describe her?
Happy, just like any other 1-year-old. She was. It was like having twins because they're 1-year-olds. They were very similar.
Did you ever have any problems with Layla?
No.
How would you describe her health when she lived with you?
Perfect.
And about when did she come and live with you?
That would have been July of 2014.
And altogether, how long did she live with you?
She was with us from July until May of the next year, so I guess that's about 9 months or so, or maybe a little more.
Now, did her biological family ever come over and visit?
I remember they came for Thanksgiving, and there were a few of them then.
Do you remember who they were?
I believe it was Gina Banks, Tessa, Laila Daniel. That's all I remember.
Okay. And so Peggy Banks is in what relation to, Gina Banks is what relation to Layla?
She was her maternal grandmother.
Is that the only time that you can recall that the family came over?
Yeah.
Did they call, check in on Layla?
Gina did. And I think Tessa was getting updates from her about Layla. I never really talked to Tessa much.
Okay. Do you know where Tessa was?
No.
Did Tessa ever come and stay with you?
She did for a little while. I want to say less than 2 weeks. And then we had a meeting with DFACS, and they said that it was inappropriate for her to be in the home with Layla during the case that they had open with DFACS because she could be left unattended with Layla, which is something they didn't want.
Around what time frame was Tessa living in the same home? Was it towards, let me ask this, was it towards the beginning of when Layla was there or towards the end?
Kind of in the middle, I believe. The timeline is it's been a while, so.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
When did DFACS, to your recollection, when did DFACS first become involved?
We had her for a couple of months already before DFACS was even aware of her whereabouts, as far as I know. And that's when they found us and started wanting to do the home visits and all of that.
And did you all do those home visits?
Yeah, we complied with everything they asked.
Ultimately, did you all have an interest in continuing as foster parents for Layla?
We did, up to a point.
Okay. And then at that point, you no longer, tell me what happened.
We became extremely uncomfortable with the amount of home visits and phone calls we were getting, and they wanted us to repeat drug screens and do the evaluation of the home again, and the home visits we were fine with, but they were also wanting to view my son as well as Layla.
What do you mean by they wanted to view your son?
They would make me take his diaper off as well and show him undressed to show that the kids weren't being abused, is what we were told.
And how did that make you feel?
Extremely uncomfortable, because I had never been under investigation by child services, so.
And when we say under investigation, were you under investigation at that point?
But it felt like it.
I want to talk a little bit about Layla's. You mentioned that Layla was healthy when she lived with you, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How was she mobile? Was she able to walk around?
Yeah, she was walking.
I want to show you states 101, 103, and 104. Do you recognize states 101, 103, and 104?
Yes.
And what do you recognize them to be?
These are pictures also taken in my home of Layla, as well as myself in the background, and Millie and my son.
And are those photographs that you took?
Yes, they are.
Have there been any modifications to these photographs?
No.
Your Honor, I move to admit states 101, 103, and 104. What are we looking at in states 101?
I was playing with her and Lucas in the pool.
And who is it that we see in the forefront there?
Layla.
What are we looking at in states 103? Zoom out.
It looks like they were eating lunch.
And can you help identify the people who are in the photograph?
Layla's in the high chair. My son and Millie are sitting at the table.
So did Millie come over at times?
We actually ended up having Millie for a little while when she was in between other placements.
Okay. About how long did you have Millie?
I think we only had Millie for, I want to say it was less than a month that Millie was there.
Do you know where she went to after she lived with you?
I know she stayed with Scott and Michelle Chapman and also with Peggy Banks. I don't remember which order particularly she
Okay.
was moved around.
And what are we looking at? It states 104.
That is Millie and Layla together on my couch.
And that's a photograph that you took.
It is.
Do you know if this was during the period of time when Millie was living there as well?
It is.
During the period of time that Millie was living there, did you have occasion to change her or bathe her?
Millie
Yes.
would help her get a bath, yeah.
Did you ever observe on Millie any signs of physical abuse that you can think of?
No.
What about when Layla was living with you? Did you ever change her or bathe her during all those months?
Yeah, every day.
Every day. And did you ever see any signs of physical abuse?
No.
I want to show you what's been previously admitted into evidence of State Exhibit 45. This area, you okay? This area right here that I'm pointing to, is that something that you've seen before? Is that a mark that you have seen before?
No, that wasn't there when she was with me.
After Layla, you okay? All right. After Layla was no longer living with you, do you know where she went?
I think she went to stay with the Browns first after she left us.
Did you continue to keep in contact with her?
No.
Did you keep in contact with any of her family members after that in the months leading up to her death?
Only Caitlin Daniel.
Nothing further at this time.
No questions. Thank you, ma'am. You can sit.